Good afternoon, everyone. Spaceport America Cup Day 3 and final day. You made it, and we've got just a little bit more for you here today. We've got Andy Berger, logistical briefing, learning from past events to be well prepared. This is extra important since we've had 2 years off. I'm Holly Gummelt. I'm going to be moderating today. We're going to save about 10 minutes at the end of the session for Q&A, so be sure to use your Q&A window to the right and go ahead and chat in the window and say hi, give a shout out to your school. And I'm going to hand it over to Andy.
Thank you, Holly. Hey, this is exciting for me because it brings back so many different memories whenever we're going through this. Funny stories to tell, incidents, all that kind of stuff. But this is really sort of extracting all the experience I've had since 2017 and trying to help your teams avoid that. Give you the experience that even though you may or may not have been to the latest, most recent stuff in 2019, this will help you prepare for next year's event. Next year's event is going to be different than all the other ones we've ever had. It will be the largest, without a doubt, any event we've had. So that's great, very exciting, but it's also going to have some challenges too. And the best preparation you can have is obviously, number one, attending this, but also we'll talk about some other things here. Let me go ahead and kick it off here. I'll share my desktop. Yep, that. And how's that look? Ollie, is that good? I'm assuming it's good. I'm not hearing anyone.
That looks great, Andy.
Okay, thank you. All right, very good. So a little bit of background about myself. I'm not going to talk about myself very much. I do a lot of rocket stuff. Done a lot of rocket stuff for a long time. Very passionate about working with student university teams. I have for a long time. I go to a lot of launches around the country. My summer is going to be completely full of rocket launches where I launch my own rocket. But again, I'm very excited about working with university teams. In addition to the Spaceport America Challenge, I'm also the senior technical advisor for the Base 11 Space Challenge, which is coming to a conclusion after 3 years, which is also not exactly a number of teams wise, but the challenge itself is tremendous, almost like an X Prize kind of event for student teams, student university teams attempt to build a liquid propelled rocket and launch it to the Kármán line. It's $1 million prize, and this one's been in the works for 3 years, and it doesn't look like any of the teams are going to make it, unfortunately. But we've had a ton of teams give it their best shots, and the pandemic just sort of cut their legs out from under them. So anyway, that's it for that slide. We'll talk a little bit about we're going to go through this in a almost a calendar event. So as you prepare your teams for 2022 and attending, just a couple of notes that you can take. And keep in mind, this is going to be recorded. We're going to have it on our YouTube channel. But if you want to take notes too, that's perfectly fine. But just make sure that a lot of these points we're taking from hard-learned lessons from other teams. And so it's very important that you pay attention and take some of these notes because it will help you avoid problems. So before you arrive, this is talking in the months. I mean, we start, and it's not just a couple of weeks before you arrive. This is the entire period from arriving in June of 2022. This relates to potentially this coming November, October-November timeframe when you start your application process. So number one, the master schedule. There is a very, very detailed master schedule available to everyone on the soundingrocket.org website. A lot of you may not even know what soundingrocket.org is. That is the Experimental Sounding Rocket Association's main website. And I'll show you a link to it here in a second. But it's a fundamental resource where all of your major documentation are. The design, testing, and engineering guide, the DPEG, your rules and regulations are there. And again, the master schedule. It is a 3 or 4 pages long, and commit that. Save that to whoever your project manager is, or whoever your leads are. There's no excuse for not knowing when something is due, because we follow that schedule and we stick to it very closely. Having someone come forward to us again and again telling us we didn't know that that was the deadline, it's not an excuse. So everything's available. Check out that site and get familiar with it. We're going to be updating it throughout the summer in preparation for 2022. Number two, even though you may have already agreed or maybe made the rollover from this year's competition to next year, quote unquote, you're guaranteed a slot, you still need to submit a strong, detailed application of what you're attempting to do. It is critical that if you are deciding that you're going to upgrade or increase or significantly change your project, that we know about it, and you need to fill in all of those details. So, for an example, if you're a COTS 10K team and you've never actually flown out of the spaceport or any other similar competition, if you think that you've learned so much in 2020 or 2021 for this virtual event that you're good enough, you think you could go for the 30K, that's probably not going to get approved. So understand that if you talk about upgrading, whether you're going from the SRAD solid 10K to SRAD solid 30K, you better be able to validate that you've had some launches underneath your belt in the recent time frame that validates that you're capable of doing that. If you've only been doing paperwork for the last 12 months, that's not going to get you approved and potentially could have your application dropped. Basically saying, no, we approved you for what you were competing in that category the year before, but you're attempting to upscale it. That puts you back under the microscope. So be very, very specific about that, and make sure, no matter what you do, submit a strong, detailed application. So update your social media sites. We want to see this. We look at this during your application process. We'll go out and say, what have you done lately? Have you launched? Have you turned in any updated designs? Do you have your CAD drawings up? Show us and prove to us that you're a strong, experienced team that is organized. That is important. We do look at those social media sites. So I know a lot of you don't do Facebook because that's like an old people thing. And well, most of the judges and ESHRE folks are old. We do Facebook, but we also do Instagram and those other components. So make sure you keep all of those websites updated, as well as your own, your own website or school site, whatever. We look at that. We really do. It's never too early to begin looking, especially for the international teams, airline, hotel, and travel arrangements. If you wait until a couple of weeks before the event, there may not be any rental cars. There may not even be airline flights. Another thing I did not put in there, Las Cruces has an airport. It's a relatively small airport. Quite often, you can get much, much better rates if you fly into the larger airport and drive. You're going to pick up a rental car likely anyway. So the two big airports that you potentially could get cheaper flights to, one of those would be, the closest one would be El Paso. El Paso is a big airport and only about 45 minutes away from Las Cruces. It's just across the Texas-New Mexico border. Albuquerque is the second one. That is probably 2 to 2.5 hours north of Las Cruces. But again, you can get good flights there, and they have a much larger rental availability with cars. Moving on. Here's the Sounding Rocket website. I don't know if I can even highlight on here if you can see the mouse. But two of the things that are here, if you look underneath the SA Cup competition, if you click on that, that'll drop down all sorts of really important links. If you click on the events, you can see the history of all of our events. We have some details, some good details inside of that. A lot of good information on soundingrocket.org. The other website that is super critical is obviously HeroX. HeroX, hopefully everyone's familiar with that. You've been submitting a majority of all your documents and such in there. It is important for 2022 that the people that are traveling, to the Cup in 2022, must be identified underneath the team, where it says "My Team" here. So your team will be having a section in your 2022 Hero X website, but we want to make sure we have your information there as well. So it's important that you keep that updated, so that whenever we send out critical updates like, "Hey, just a reminder about this important date," you will receive that if you are if you are linked into the Hero X website. Last thing, social media. Um, ESRA, Experimental Sounding Rocket Association, Spaceport America Cup, and IREC. Some folks may not even know what IREC is. That is the original competition. We've been in place for about 15 years. The Intercollegiate Rocket Engineering Competition. Uh, so for 15 years ago was the very first IREC, and it was held for a few university teams and held in southern Utah. And since that point, it's continued to grow and grow and grow. 2017 became the relationship, the partnership with Spaceport America. So ESRA is now working with Spaceport America and hosting the IREC, which is now known as the Spaceport America Cup. But nonetheless, if you look for those type of keywords, those kind of buzzwords, you can get a lot of information. Make sure you follow us. I mean, have 4 or 5 people on the team linked into that and monitoring those updates. All the critical information gets sent out via those as well. Hopefully, between that, Hero X, and other components, you should be notified of any significant changes. All right, moving on. So, preparing for the trip. The folks that live in the regional area, you know, the universities that are within a couple hundred miles of Spaceport America are usually in fairly good shape. They don't have to worry too much about all the travel challenges. But we have obviously a huge number of international teams that literally have to take almost 2 days of travel just to get to the. And that doesn't even mention the visas and going through customs and all the other challenges of getting their equipment and such there. So you cannot prepare for the trip early enough. You've got to start asking the questions. You've got to start preparing for the trip. The trip is immensely expensive, without a doubt. For almost every single team that's out there, probably 90% of the teams, the largest financial challenge is going to be hotel, travel, and food and gas and all those. The event itself obviously will have some expenses. The rocket itself will have some expenses, but they usually pale in comparison to the travel. So I would start budgeting. If you don't have the dollars now, I would put together a team that focuses on generating that. How much are those airline tickets going to cost? How much is it going to cost to ship the rocket? How are we going to get all of our equipment and gear there? How about the rental car? All of these things are super, super important. So number one, ask a lot of questions. Hero X is a great, the forums on there are a very valuable tool. It links you with all the other university teams. It also links you with the ESRA leadership team. We've been through this many, many years. We know what's going on. We typically can answer your questions very easily. Collaborate with other teams that have competed in the past. It's a challenge. I haven't had an event since 2019. That means, you know, even some of the seniors that are rising seniors now may or may not have attended the event in 2019. So we're looking at a majority, probably 3/4 or more of every team, never even been to the Cup. So a lot of fresh faces, a lot of folks that have no idea what they're getting into. I can tell you, it's going to be the most amazing rocketry event you've ever been to in your life. Even some of the most renowned rocketeers that I know have attended the event and just come out of it with their eyes like, holy cow, that was crazy big. And it's what it is. It is an experience you will not forget. Again, the international team got some big challenges. So visas are critical. ESRA and actually Spaceport America will provide proof of attendance. So we will provide you an official letter from Spaceport America identifying that you have been invited as a participant for this event. With that, you should be able to work through the United States State Department for your visa. Unfortunately, ESRA will not engage with the State Department. We will not troubleshoot any type of travel restrictions. That is strictly going to be between the university team, the university's leadership, and the State Department. So please do not even approach us for that. If the State Department asks us, we'll engage, but we will not contact them on your behalf. Final point here, motors, particularly for the COT team. If you're an international team and you can't bring a motor over, of course you can't put it in an airplane. You need to order these motors very early. You need to select your motor, simulate it, make sure it's the right motor, and then you need to order it through one of our approved rocketry vendors. They will be delivered. They deliver them on site for you, which is great. You won't have to pay for the extra, sometimes $60, $70 of hazmat shipping. They'll just bring them because they'll be on site with us. It makes it so much easier. And quite often that vendor also will assist you in their expertise on building that motor, putting it together. You've never put together a large 98 millimeter commercial motor. It's got some little gotchas that it might not hurt to have some expertise, looking over your shoulder when you're putting it together. It'll save you from a Cato many, many times over. Again, important stuff there. Good lessons learned. Again, international teams, ship as much of your sport equipment as possible. Some of the stuff you don't need to ship, hairs, cables, those type of functions you can purchase locally. I wish there was some type of service that rented that kind of stuff. Maybe someday in the future we can coordinate something like that. But unfortunately, it's probably simpler and easier for you to purchase those locally than drag them through. Probably less expensive to leave them here out. Again, another challenge there. Again, you can ship whatever you want. You have large boxes. Even rockets can be packed and shipped directly to Spaceport America. Obviously, no hazardous materials. Okay, so if you built a rocket and you're trying to sneak it through customs and all that other kind of stuff, do not do that. If it arrives on site, somehow it miraculously makes it through, it will be impounded and you will not have access to it. Last little tidbit, do not ship anything to the hotel. Almost every single hotel we've engaged has had to deal with this problem. And some of them get frightened when they see rockets. And so stuff has gotten lost at hotels, and sometimes they flat out refuse to receive them, which also becomes a major problem. If you do ship something to Spaceport America, it would be nice to probably tell them, hey, we're shipping some stuff to you. If it arrives on their doorstep and they have no clue, not going to be real happy with it. So again, you can ship it to Spaceport America, and they will allow you to pick it up during the event without any problem. But please let them know, and they'll give you the address and details of how to get it to them, and they will store it for you securely. And then, let's see, secure your hotel in Las Cruces. There are two towns that are nearby. One is Las Cruces, and the other one is a small little town called Truth or Consequence. Back in the old days, there wasn't a really nice road from Las Cruces. You essentially had to drive from Las Cruces to Truth or Consequences and then come across, or take the scary dirt road that was littered with nails and all sorts of other problems. Now it's a really nice road. So Truth or Consequences is a 60-minute drive. And it's all nicely paved until you get to Spaceport. We'll go over that in just detail. Truth or Consequences only has a few hotels. It is probably a good 45 minutes or more north of Las Cruces. You'll be quite a distance away from the conference center. You'll have very limited, grocery stores. You have very limited places to eat, very limited hotels, limited places to buy canopies and chairs and that kind of stuff. But it is a neat little town, though. Never hurts to go visit that one if you got the time. It's got some interesting history as well, so you might want to take a look at that one. But again, recommend that you stay in Las Cruces. Plenty of hotels, but book them early. If you're looking at a hotel, 2-3 weeks before the event, may not be any. Again, it's a big town. It's the second biggest city in New Mexico. It's a big college town too. So. Okay, arriving in Las Cruces. Let's see, Holly, how are we doing on time?
We're at 12:20, so we probably have about maybe 10 more minutes for 10 more minutes for presentation, unless you want to cut into Q&A time.
Yeah, I don't think we'll need quite that much Q&A, but we'll see. Okay, that's fine. I'll keep rolling. All right, arriving in Las Cruces. So the event officially kicks off on Monday. And I think we're officially going to announce the dates here shortly, but it's almost always starting on a Monday officially. So to avoid crowds and rushing and, oh my gosh, we got here, try to arrive the day before. Try to arrive on a Sunday. If you're coming in from an international location, you may want to try it even 2 days because you know how international flights often get delayed. And so we've had teams arrive as late as Wednesday due to problems like that. And that just throws everything off. So again, arrive into Las Cruces on Sunday at the latest. Hopefully you won't have to deal too much with time lag and all that kind of stuff from that standpoint. But that is my recommendation. So that would prepare you for a Monday morning bright and early. So again, once you do arrive. So Monday evening is going to be very busy at check-in. So if you plan on driving, if you're regional to that arena, or hey, we're going to leave Monday morning. If you show up for check-in at 5 p.m., you're going to be standing in line outside for probably an hour or more. If you get there Monday morning for check-in, it'll go through fairly smoothly. Your team's going to receive, obviously, security and car passes. I'm going to say this over and over and over again. Do not lose these. Do not lose these badges. You will not be allowed in the conference or on Spaceport America without this badge. Next one is Las Cruces is a college town, home to New Mexico State University. Lots of great places to shop, eat, lots of history, beautiful landscape, nature, all that kind of stuff. Again, if you're an international team or you're a team that's never been to New Mexico, you might want to spend a couple of days checking out the place. Amazing opportunities out there, without a doubt. It will be hot. It is a desert, without a doubt. But having that city right in the middle of it, like Las Cruces is, very beautiful place. Nice place to live. So do not get in trouble with law enforcement. New Mexico State troopers and law enforcement in Las Cruces, very serious folk. They run a pretty tight ship. So again, you don't want to be the person that gets your team qualified, disqualified. All it takes is one arrest, one accident, one fight, any incident like that where the law enforcement is engaged. Your team will be asked to depart. And so be very careful of that. Make sure your team captains enforce discipline on the team. If you need to send somebody home from your team, do it. Don't let them bring the rest of the team down. Again, last piece, monitor alcohol consumption. Drinking age is 21 years. So if you're not 21, you better not be drinking. If you are driving, you're the designated driver. I wouldn't even touch stuff. I would not trust one beer type scenario. I guess the laws in the United States have gotten very serious on this, and for any type of activity like that, if you lose the ability to drive, and you're having to, we've had this happen before, where an entire team lost their one driver. It was an international team, lost their driver because he got in trouble, and every day they had to get up early, go stand out in the lobby of the main hotel, and beg other teams to take them out to the spaceport. Don't be that team. It was very embarrassing. Hotel rules. Again, make your reservations early. Lots of hotels, they do book up fairly quickly. Please do not work on your rocket as far as major construction. Don't do painting. Don't do any composite layup. You don't want to see epoxy, in your rooms or epoxy in the hallways or down in the stairwells. True story. I had a team that literally painted their rocket in one of the stairwells. And they didn't lay down anything. They just, hey, it's not a big deal. It's concrete. We painted on it. Well, we matched the paint to the rocket. And the team got caught. And they denied it. And, we showed them the picture. We showed them the rocket. And, again, don't be that kind of a team. Please don't. So, again, if you have to do something like that, Take it out in the parking lot, clear out a space out there, uh, and just be careful. You're very respectful of the area around there. Keep it quiet. Too many complaints from other guests, and you can be asked to leave at any time. You don't want to be homeless when looking for another hotel when you're at Spaceport America. You don't have any time to mess around with that kind of stuff. So again, keep it quiet, especially after hours. Speaking of after hours, go to bed. I do not want to have to be running through the halls and being that parental monitor as I have in the past. If your team had a great launch and you want to celebrate, that's awesome. Absolutely very excited about that. Go outside. Most hotels have a swimming pool, hang out, chill out, talk about the launch itself and just be excited about it. But if it is after hours, if it's after 10 p.m., I mean, people need to sleep. You need to respect their time. So please don't do that inside. Even if you're outside, if you're being really loud and it's 3 a.m. in the morning, it's not going to end well for you, I promise. Smoking. Nearly every single hotel in Las Cruces, smoking is prohibited inside. That includes your rooms, that includes the lobbies, that includes all of that. Some of them are not even allowing you to smoke in the swimming pool area anymore. So take it outside, find a smoking area, and you're allowed to do it there. Checking in on Monday. Check-in is going to be significantly larger than it's ever been. And here's some of the things that will take place. At the Las Cruces Convention Center, very easy to get to, right in the middle of Las Cruces, right near the university. Very, very good place to get to. You should be able to park in the main parking lot as teams are coming in and going out all day long. Pay all your outstanding competition and competitor fees. If you have not, if you can't pay those fees, you're not going to be allowed to compete. And so if you haven't already prepaid, you better be able to whip out a credit card or something to finish that up. You'll pick up your T-shirts, patches, security passes, car passes, all sorts of other stuff there. You'll basically be handed a fairly large couple of bags for everybody on your team. There will be a safety briefing for the entire team. So in years past, you only had to send a couple of people to check in. This year, you need to bring your entire team. They all have to be briefed on the safety briefing. So that is critical. Plus, we're also going to do interviews, photos, and a couple of other things. Your recovery team has to be there as well. So whoever is designated as the recovery team, it should be maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 at the most, people that are designated to go out and recover the rocket. They need to be there because they're getting special recovery team training. And those individuals, with a new requirement this year, they have, even international, even solids, liquids, and hybrids, all of those teams, so their recovery team people, the 4 or 5 people that are doing that, they must be AAA members. And the reason we're doing that is you're going out into an active launch site. And so being a AAA member allows you out there, also gives you liability insurance for that. It's only $10 a year. And you only have to do it for that 1 year that you're there. But nonetheless, it's a cheap insurance policy and it is a requirement. So make sure you have your membership cards available. We'll also be doing team photos and interviews, live interviews. We'll be streaming a lot of this stuff, live streaming the 2022 event for the very first time. And it's going to be professional. It's going to hopefully be similar to like a professional soccer match or something. So we're going to use these interviews and photos and such, and we're going to get those on the stream as your team's going out to the launch pad, which should be pretty exciting. Do your shopping and equipment gathering. If you need to buy canopies, chairs, whatever the case might be, do all of that shopping and such Monday evening after you check in. Most of the stores are open well till 8:39, 10 o'clock at night. And then did I mention security passes? Yeah, don't lose them. Over and over again, do not lose security passes. Tuesday morning, bright and early. Arrive early, get set up as quickly as you can at the conference center. It's very easy to get to. Parking is going to be a challenge for the convention center. We've outgrown the parking lot. So the parking lot will fill up quickly. And then once it's full, you'll be basically directed to drop off everything you have and the team and your cars and vans and trailers or whatever you have. You're going to have to park at a remote site a couple of blocks away. So it might be a little bit of walking. but still you'll be able to pull up, drop off stuff, and then just park when you need to. Just your presentation to the judges. We'll go into more detail of that in just a second. But it should be fun that make the judges laugh and keep them professional too. So there is a reason that it's called a poster session. Your table should have an impressive set of posters, and those posters can identify any type of technical challenge that you guys ran into, and then how you got through it. They love seeing your CFDs. They love seeing your simulations on the flight itself. They love seeing photos and images of big CNC machines that are working on your stuff, or even just the team laying up their composite fiberglass or carbon fiber. Put those posters out there. Make them look good. Put some time and effort in on them and protect them during the travel too. You don't want to mess up. Please don't make them the day before when you're in the hotel room. We know the difference. Okay, just letting you know make sure that these posters look darn good. Your rocket should look good too. If you're struggling trying to get your rocket built while you're at your presentation, your poster table, oof, that's always that does not leave a kind of taste in the mouth of the judges if they're wanting. So they do love seeing parts of the rocket, and in particular, if you've had like a great example was like a broken nozzle or some component of a rocket that you were testing and it failed. They love seeing that one you tested, you got proof of it right here, and then you guys can talk about why you think it broke and what you did to try to resolve it. That will win you a lot of points. Keep at least 3 people at the table at all times. At least 3 people at the table, and because the judges can show up at any time throughout that day. Once we'll have the opening ceremony, everybody will progress over to the poster table area, and the judges will just walk around whenever they want to. They'll pop their head up to your table and say, "Hey, talk to me about your rocket." So one of the challenges we've run into is I'll show up at a table and I'll start asking a couple of questions like, "Hey, who did, what kind of motor testing have you done on this?" They're like, "Oh, that's Steve. Steve's not here. So sorry, I can't answer that question." That just doesn't look good. Make sure that you got people there that know what's going on. They're able to answer those questions. Let's see. Wednesday, first launch day. We're no longer at the conference center. We have moved out to Spaceport America. Arrive early, as always. Don't forget your security badges. Don't lose them. You're not going to be allowed on. There's an active security team there with guns. They are very serious. They're very important customers out there, and they want to make sure that students and volunteers do not go into the wrong areas. And without a badge, you ain't getting in. Do not speed, and that includes Las Cruces, the road from Las Cruces to Spaceport America, or on the Spaceport America thing. I mean, the long dirt road that you're going to be on for ports of it, that does not mean you can go 65, 70 miles an hour. You stay the speed limit, and just be very careful because again, that's a big mistake to go up against those guys. Launches will begin as early as possible on Wednesday, usually around noon at the latest. So if you've already gotten your range safety sign off and you're ready to launch, don't sit back on like, "Hey, we got this under control." Roll that rocket up to launch control and let's get it up on the pads. If you can launch on Wednesday, we'll talk about the bonus points, but that's a great sign. That means you guys are locked on and you're well prepared. If you do have range safety issues, this is your priority. You'll be out there. You'll have your tent set up in the proper area. You should have all your gear and equipment with you. And you should begin working on it. Resolve those issues. Make the changes that are recommended. Resolve the issues. And then get it back to a range safety officer so they can sign you off for launch. And then again, launch as soon as possible. Do not wait. We have teams year after year that'll wait until the last day, and then it's too late. And then guess what? We're the bad guys for saying no. That's not gonna. It doesn't work. All right, here's the map. We'll go through a lot of stuff here, and we'll get into the questions here in a little bit. Las Cruces down here in the south, and you just roll right up Interstate 25, a big major thoroughfare. You'll take exit 32 and onto the brand new, nicely paved road all the way up to the entrance to Spaceport America. About 70 minutes. Again, paved road. Maps can get you lost. I've seen Google, MapQuest, and Waze all completely throw you off. And so you want to make sure that you drive, set that map to Spaceport America. You may notice something that says Spaceport America vertical launch area. Don't select that. That's going to send you in all sorts of different directions and get you lost. You don't want that. Drive directly to Spaceport America and then follow the signs, and you'll see a caravan of other cars in there as well. Once you do, and I'll show you, the entrance is right up here. So that road that we're talking about that you'll be coming up is right here. And this will bring you to the entrance. You have about 7 miles of dirt road. This area I'm pointing to, hopefully you guys can see it, that's the big hangar. They are not going to let you inside that area. This is the HLA, or horizontal launch area. You are not allowed to go anywhere inside the fencing of that area. Virgin Galactic and security and the fire guys, they'll be all over you if you get anywhere near that place. You'll be outside the fence, taking the dirt road to the vertical launch area. You'll take a couple turns, follow the dust trails in the car in front of you, and eventually you'll be directed by security where to park and where to drop off your gear. The Wednesday, camping is allowed. I'm just going to let you know, it's not fun. It is hot. If you don't have an air conditioner out there, you may be suffering a little bit. Sleeping in 80-degree weather is not good. Very dusty, very dirty. There's no RV hookups, so you really have no options from that standpoint. But it is allowed. You have to take in your dirty water, and you have to bring in your clean water and take it out with you. Roaming and hiking, if you do camp, like in a tent or something, roaming and hiking around the vertical launch area at night, not only prohibited, but very dangerous. At night, all the dangerous critters, animals, reptiles, bugs, snakes, tarantulas. Oh, I love tarantulas. Boy, they come out. If it rains the day before a little, even just a little bit, the tarantulas will come out in mass. And they'll just be, and you can look on the horizon just as before it gets dark, and you can see literally hundreds of them. And they'll come right into your campsite and say, hey, what are you guys doing? So be real careful out there with that. But the more dangerous ones, obviously, being the rattlesnakes and scorpions and some other things. So again, do not go hiking or roaming around at night at the VLA. Let's see, the gates of the VLA itself not even open until about 6 a.m., sometimes as late as 7 a.m. We've had teams in the past show up at 4 a.m. just because they wanted to get started early and they had some repairs they needed to do. Do not do that. If you got repairs to do them near your hotel, do them in the parking lot of the hotel. Just don't bring it to the spaceport. Very painful. We get started when the sun comes rolling up. 6 a.m. is about as early as you can. Sun usually comes up around 7 a.m. or so, so that's going to be that close. Do not pester the security guys to let you in at 4 a.m. They will not put up with that. Last thing, if you're able, you should target for launching on Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, because you get early bird bonus points. And Esra likes to too, so that's important. Thursday, focus on fixing your range safety issues. Launch as soon as you can. If you've already launched, do the right thing and try to help the other teams. There are teams that are going to be struggling. Like we didn't bring enough epoxy, or we're still looking for this flathead screwdriver. Do the right thing. Just poke around. It's like, hey, you guys need some help. What can we do for you? We've had teams like Sydney, University of Sydney last year. They had a team that had to leave a day early. It was an emergency or something. And there's a very small team. They lost their rocket. They were unable to find it. The Sydney guys like, hey, give us your address. We'll go look for it. And they did. And those guys freaking found the rocket. They brought it to us and gave us the address. I mean, they did the right thing, and they got a lot of bonus points for it. So very cool. Many schools bring goodies, and basically, when they're done launching, and they've got a day or more, they'll set up like a little social area inside their tent canopy. And I know the Swiss schools always bring like nummies and all sorts of neat stuff, and they win a lot of friends and make a lot of good relationships, and we love it when they're there. It really is great. So don't hesitate to think about that. But if you're in the middle of trying to fix your rocket, yeah, I'm not worried about goodies. You want to get you guys flying as quickly as you can. Keep your area neat. Please don't let trash be blowing around. You will be called on the carpet for that one. Keep it neat. Keep it clean. Do not leave your area each night if it's not clean. Again, we will address that with you very, very directly. Okay, launch day Friday is basically the same as Thursday. If you've already launched, start preparing for your trip home. Pack up whatever you can. But again, help out when you can and where you can, and have a good time out there. Saturday's the last day. Saturday is not a full day. It is a partial day. We usually shut the pad down around noon. And the reason we do that is the judges need 3 to 4 hours to finalize the score. And then we have to do that in preparation for the award ceremony that occurred. So at this point, if you have not launched by Saturday, you still have range safety issues, you're at a high risk of not getting to launch your rocket. It's happened too many times. We've had teams that didn't even decide to show up on Wednesday and Thursday. Yes.
We got 5 minutes left.
Norris, we're in the last slide almost right here. For the launch window, again, we've had teams that didn't even show up to Spaceport America for Wednesday and Thursday. They showed up on Friday, had a lot of range safety issues, and then at the last second, at like 1 p.m. on Saturday, we had just closed the range down, and they come up to the launch control with their rockets, and they were extraordinarily upset. But we managed to notice that when we went to their Facebook page, we noticed that on Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember one or the other, we noticed that the entire team was posting all these pictures about being at the water park in El Paso. So as soon as we showed them that, it sort of, obviously did not end well for that. So and don't pull that kind of silly stuff with us. Get your launch under your belt. That is the most important thing. And do the right thing and leave no trace. So when you leave, the place should be at least as clean as when you got there, if not clean. All right. Saturday, head back to the hotel as soon as possible. Please take a shower. Clean yourself up. Put some clean clothes on. The award ceremony is packing a lot of people in that conference center again, and it is amazing. It will be absolutely amazing. A lot of videos, a lot of streaming, a lot of awards being handed out, celebrations, etc. I think they have a cool ice cream thing that goes on every year. And this year, I think the closing ceremony is not going to be in the conference center this year. It's going to be at a much bigger venue, and we're going to have videos up on like the Galvatron or whatever it is, the huge athletic video screen that they have. So it'll be very exciting. You don't want to miss the award ceremony, that's for sure. In the past, we've had a couple of teams who are like, I'm just so tired from everything, I'm just going to go home. I don't think we won anything. And then we announced their team as a third place in such category, and they're not there, and that's embarrassing. So again, definitely don't miss that one out. All right, questions.
First question: are you able to launch 2 rockets at SA Cup?
So each team will supply and basically identify one rocket, one project that they are working on. If one of the rules that we had to implement years past was we were having Canadian teams. Oh, I'm sorry, did I just open at Canada? We had Canadian teams that were bringing 4 or 5 or more teams to the Facebook Cup. Unfortunately, this kept other schools from being able to compete. They were all very high quality, and they were doing very. We had to put a rule in place that said one school gets one team, and one team gets one rocket. And the only way that we can do that at this point is to maintain that. If a team brought 2 rockets, even if only 10-20% of them brought 2 rockets, we would be completely out of launch time. We're already crushed by the number of rockets. We're going to have to launch between 130 and 150 rockets in 3.5 days. And these are not little rockets. These are Class 3 rockets. So the answer is no. Definitely not. 1 rocket per team, one team per school.
All right. Are there options for hazmat storage at the event for powder, igniters, motors, etc.?
So yes and no to a certain extent. The motor storage, if you're talking about a commercial COTS motor type scenario, those motors do not need to be stored in hazmat facilities. So again, you wouldn't need a low explosive user permit or anything similar to that, but those need to be protected. So out of sunlight, if they're not in the motor case, they need to be getting ready to get launched. Obviously maintain them in the same containers that they came in from the manufacturing side. Do not leave them in the back of the car so they can boil in the sun. You want to keep them in some type of air-conditioned area, or at least out of the sun and open to any breezes that might be coming through.
And as an add-on to that, from personal experience, if you are a hybrid or a biprop, if you have any sort of pressure,
oh, I'm sorry, you're starting to break up pretty bad. We didn't get back.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, you need some sort of cooling system for those tanks, for those pressure vessels. That sitting out in the sun is going to shoot your pressure up way past safe level.
Absolutely agreed. Good point. As far as the black powder and similar Pyrodex, any type of I guess hazards in that arena, key focus on that one. They typically sell those in 1 pound cans in the United States. Those will be available for purchase from the vendor. The problem is the 1 pound can is probably 20, 30 times more than you'll actually need. And so, it's often sometimes better to say, hey, bring a smaller container. I'll never carry the 1 pound can with me. I always have a little, I'm holding my hands up like you see it, but small little Tupperware container that might be 3 or 4 ounces. And that's all that I need for the rocket from that standpoint. Oftentimes, I'll even potentially create the ejection charges prior to the event and then store them in a statically safe baggie container, that kind of stuff, so that you're only bringing the absolute minimum amount of ejection charge that you need. Don't show up with that 1 pound can, because that thing is dangerous. 1 pound of black powder going off, no matter where you're at, it's not going to be a good scenario.
All right. Next question. Are there any special laws international students should be especially aware of? What have other teams gotten into trouble for in the past?
I can tell you the one of the big ones obviously is drinking, and underage drinking has been a bad thing. We've had obviously some driving issues that have come up. Driving too fast. I didn't want to joke and say driving on the wrong side of the road, but that hasn't been the case. We've had a few accidents. We had a car roll over, a rental car roll over at one point. We still have no idea the cause or any of the details in that. But obviously driving and if you're a team lead and you've identified who that driver is going to be, you better be able to trust that person with your life and make sure that they're excellent drivers. Keep it slow. You don't need to break the speed limit. There's no rush for any of these type of activities. The roads are fairly calm. You're not going to have to worry about traffic jams and that kind of stuff. So again, look out for that type of scenario. Late night. Again, I wouldn't say the town shuts down at 10 p.m., but don't be running around at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, making noises and being hysterical. Particularly if you've been drinking, because that's gonna leave a pretty ugly mark as well. So there's no other particular, no odd rules like, oh my God, it's Thursday afternoon and you ate a chimichanga. Oh, no, you don't have to worry about those type of things. By the way, the Mexican food there is very good. So definitely go visit La Mesa and some of the areas there. Talk to the hotel maitre d', the front desk, and ask them where to get some good Mexican food. they will set you up.
All right. Are you going to have FCC technician classes and virtual VEC exams now that it is allowed?
Oh my goodness. That is a great question, by the way. We actually did. Randy Merrick, who is our resident ESRA FCC ham, he's a ham extra certified guy. He had looked into this in great detail. There is a fairly strong ham amateur radio club in the Las Cruces area. We did reach out to them, I think, 2 years ago, and asked them if there was a possibility of setting up a test in the conference center. Actually, we're going to try to get it set up in the conference center, but there was just too many conflicts. They have very set specific times and ways that they do their exams, and they didn't sound very interested or open to doing it. We may reach out to them again, but again, the challenge is, if you absolutely cannot get your license in your area, reach out to ESRA, and we'll put you in contact with Randy Merrick, who can do some research on that and maybe help find opportunities for you. I continue to express the ham group about the options for doing online testing for your ham exam, because there's nothing special about it. You don't have to do Morse code anymore. It just hands you an answer sheet and a test book. And for all of you students who have had to do exams online, I mean, if you have to fill an exam booklet in an answer key, my gosh, you can do that online fairly easily. And and I know I did all my training for my ham license online, taking all those exams. So it would be wonderful if they could do that. That would make life so much easier. But unfortunately, today that's not.
All right. Last question. Does NAR membership meet the requirement, or do we need to have TRA membership as well?
No, the NAR does meet that requirement. Obviously, if there were an incident, though, you'd be working directly with the NAR insurance provider because the great thing between the National Association of Rocketry and the Tripoli Rocketry Association is that they cover each other's events. So if I, as a Tripoli member, were to go to a NAR event, I could launch, and my certification would apply, all of that kind of stuff. The insurance would cover from the NAR standpoint, and vice versa. So a NAR card will certainly meet that requirement. Now, for the recovery team, you do not have to be a high power certified. You do not have to be a level 1, level 2, or level 3 for being on the recovery team. All you have to do is be a member of Tripoli or the NAR, preferably Tripoli. That is through the launch rules, and the launch will be run underneath. So good question.
Yeah, and that's all we have today as well. So you are good to go. We're a little over time, but that's okay. I think that was all really important stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone and good questions. And I am so excited. We have ESRA has a big strategic planning meeting probably next month where we are going to lay down the law for what the Cup next year is going to look like. And we've got a lot of exciting plans. Again, I hope one of my pet projects is going to be the live streaming, which we've never done before. So all the student team members that can't attend, their family, friends, faculty, etc., will be able to see the event live. So anyway, let's see.
Andy, will you be posting this presentation anywhere for students to look at?
These will be available on the Excel Events website for at least a couple of weeks.
Great.
And we will begin immediately uploading. We're going to download from Excel Events, and we'll put all of these presentations up on our YouTube channel. So if you go into YouTube and you just search for ESRA or Experimental Sounding Rocketry, you should be able to find us. And if you would, just follow us, subscribe to our channel, and you'll see the updates. We've already put up a bunch of the Q&A sessions for several of the team's poster sessions. And eventually we'll link to their poster videos and we'll put all that stuff up there so it'll be available for future folks to look at.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you all at the award ceremony.
Very much.
All right.
Thank you, Holly.
Have a good one.
Mhm.